Imagine living in a stone castle where every morning begins with checking the gates. Inside, everything is shaped by one goal: survival during a siege. The Lord may dine in the great hall, but right beneath it arrows and weapons are stored. Servants sleep near the horses, and knights take turns keeping watch. Even children learn from an early age where to hide if danger comes. One winter day, news arrives of approaching enemies. The gates are closed, the drawbridge raised, and suddenly, the castle that was a noisy home becomes a silent fortress. Everyone inside understands. This is now their entire world: walls, towers, and courtyard. In a stone chamber, a young girl named Ellen tries to warm her hands over a small fire. In winter, the castle walls are covered with frost from the inside, and breath turns into visible mist. Even nobles wear heavy fur cloaks and use heated stones for sleeping, but warmth is still rare. Sometimes the whole family gathers in one room with a large fireplace, the only place where warmth truly exists. Other rooms remain freezing. Stone holds cold as strongly as it protects, and people learn to live with it as a constant companion. A young servant named Thomas entered the castle expecting grandeur and luxury. But within an hour he realized the smell was stronger than any impression. A mix of smoke, animals, food, and damp stone filled the air constantly. Water was scarce, so bathing was rare. Waste was carried out through narrow corridors or dumped into pits. In summer, the smell grew stronger, and windows were opened despite the risk. But people adapted. It wasn't filth to them. It was simply life inside stone walls. When the sun set, the castle seemed to shut down. In one room, a fat wax candle was lit, its weak light barely illuminating the table. A scribe carefully wrote letters, avoiding drops of wax on parchment. Candles were expensive, so they were used sparingly. Sometimes a single candle served an entire family in turns. In dark corridors, it was easy to get lost, and people walked almost by eye. Night in the castle was a time of silence, shadows, and sounds that felt alive. An old knight remembered the first time he entered the great hall. The floor was covered with fresh straw, smelling like fields. It was replaced every few weeks, and underneath there were bones, lost items, and traces of the past. Straw was used not only for warmth, but also for cleanliness. It absorbed dirt and smells. Children sometimes played in it, hiding like in a golden sea. But when it began to rot, the air grew heavy, and it had to be quickly removed. Inside a castle, food was rarely luxurious every day. Most meals were simple: porridge, bread, and some meat when available. But on feast days, everything changed. Huge banquets were prepared: roasted boars, birds, fish, and sweet honey pies. Servants rushed through the hall, carrying dishes while musicians played. Nobles ate with their hands, using knives as tools. Spices from distant lands were symbols of wealth, added in tiny amounts like treasures. A castle was never quiet. The blacksmith hammered metal, chickens ran through the yard, dogs barked, and servants argued. Even at night, one could hear guards walking and gates creaking. A young page once said the castle never sleeps. And it was true. Someone was always working, guarding, or preparing for the next day. Life inside the walls felt like a small city, just louder and more crowded. A castle rarely stayed the same. Each generation added something new: a tower, a wall, new rooms. Over time, the building became a complex maze. Builders often worked right beside the residents, hammering and reshaping stone. Sometimes old rooms were demolished to make space for new halls. The castle grew like a living creature, reflecting wars, wealth, and changing tastes. At the heart of the castle was the Great Hall, where almost everything happened. People ate, shared news, hosted guests, and even settled disputes there. In winter, everyone gathered inside, from the lord to the servants. A huge fireplace provided heat, and long tables filled the room. At night, some people even slept there on benches or floors. It was the true heart of the castle, where all lives intersected. Life in a castle depended heavily on status. The lord lived in a private chamber with carpets and a bed, while servants stayed in shared rooms or near the kitchen. Noble children were taught reading and governance, while servants' children worked from an early age. Even food was different. Nobles ate meat and spices, servants ate bread and leftovers. Yet they all lived under one roof, separated not by walls, but by status.